Pass is caught. That's going to be a first down for the Ravens. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, Ravens! And the crowd goes wild.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Play Action Podcast. It's Season 3, Episode 1. I'm your host, Coddington Johnson.
I'm head football coach Jonathan Coddington. Good to be back in this setting with you.
Yes,
it's good to be back to the fall and football season, and there's a lot of excitement in the air. It's a great summer. Lots of good opportunities. Both here on campus for us. A lot of our guys back at home, working their jobs, doing their workouts, getting to see some time with family. There's just something about August though. You get that around. The energy starts to get back in the building, and we're ready to go. So, how was your summer?
Summer was good, like you said. Everybody kind of going back to their corners, going home, working out. Got to see some guys over the summer through some of our activities we had, some of our fundraising events. So that was fun. And then outside of work, I got married in May. So
congratulations!
That's how I kicked off my summer. I appreciate it. It's pretty fun and really enjoyable night. So. Appreciate you coming out, being part of that with us.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, just working some camps, doing some other work, going home, seeing some family, recharging the battery, And now it's August. No more traveling. Summer's over after July 31st, and kind of getting ready for the guys to come up on campus. So I'm excited for that.
Yep, we are here. I think some of the highlights on campus here this summer, we had our prospect camp back in June, focused around recruits for the next class. Thought that went really well. I think we had about 75, guys in the 26 class, we're really high on in the recruiting process that were here competing. Had a lot of fun. I think that was a great group. Then in June and July both, we had some team camps on campus, some teams coming out, bringing their whole team, scrimmaging, getting some great work in, great recruiting opportunity, obviously for us, just having, hundreds of high school football players, on campus. Some that'll play college football, some that won't. Getting them exposed, here to AU, and then really just a lot of getting ready for this season. And as we get into crunch time, like you said, this is now what the main focus is. It's all about this, and getting our guys ready and as good as they can get here in the 2025 season.
Yeah, it was a blast, and you talked about the prospect camp. It's always been good for us. Throughout the years that we've been here, just the amount of guys that we retain from the prospect camps is amazing. So excited to get the recruiting process going with the class of 26.
Yep, absolutely. We've got several offers already out to some of those guys we've built that relationship with. Our first commit this past weekend, which was huge. First time that's ever happened in the summer, which is great. And I think whether it's the prospect camp, whether it's we did some visits over the summer, we'll do a lot more game day visits, official visits after our season too. But for us, anytime we get those guys around the program, around campus, around our staff, around our players, especially, just showing them, the relationships that can get built here, the experiences that they're going to have, in addition to obviously getting to go out and play college football, which is a really, really special thing, but to get to do it at a place where you're surrounded by people that love you, care about you, they're going to encourage you, that's on mission to help develop them. I think that they feel that energy, and, they feel that it's different, when they step on campus and get to be face-to-face with us.
Heck yeah, and it's always a good sign when you got guys on campus early and often. When you got guys who constantly coming back around the program, guys who know you and your guys for a lengthy amount of time, they start to know your true colors, start to see you, and it kind of goes away from football. Like, I actually like hanging out with this guy, so why not go play for him?
Yep, absolutely. Well, so as we kind of, get laser focused here on the 2025 season, building our guys to get ready for obviously week 1, week 2, all the way through, the end of the season. College football season's long. We, move-in day, training camp. There's a lot of, excitement around just guys getting back on campus, getting together, and then it's, about 10 days before our school year starts, where it's nothing but football. We wake up, we work out, we eat breakfast together, go to meetings, do our walkthroughs, go to lunch together, have our practice, get the training and the rehab and the different things like that, have dinner, end our evening with some film and some team activities and some team bonding. It's a jam-packed full day. What are your takeaways each year, from training camp?
Training camp, it definitely shows, when you guys get here, who's been working out. And from there, that's the number one takeaway. Who really worked this summer. We understand the opportunity you guys have going back home making some money, but then coming back and seeing the work that you put in is definitely rewarding and makes coaches feel good. But overall, I just love the amount of time that we have over those 2 weeks, 10-day period of it just being football. You don't have any distractions of classes and those type of things. And then from there, it's just getting to know your teammates, getting to know your coaches, getting to know the area, getting to know the campus while it's chill. It's not as chaotic because it's only 1 or 2 teams here on campus right now. But at the same time, like I said, things are a lot slow, things are a lot open, and it should be easier for you to kind of get around town and get around campus. And then outside of that, just the amount of reps. Like outside of spring ball, this fall camp is a lot of reps. Just over and over and over. And from there, that's what it's about. Repetition is king. Building your confidence in the new playbook and some new technique that you're learning. So overall, just the growth that goes into fall camp and then grows into the season is definitely exciting and rewarding.
Absolutely, yeah, I definitely agree with both of those. I think on the relational side of things, difference of high school football to college football. High school football, a lot of times, you've grown up with those teammates. You played Little League with them. You grew up down the street. Those guys, and parents, have been together for a long time. Like that creates a really cool environment for sure. That's not the case, here in college. We've got guys from all over the country on our team, guys that don't know each other. Maybe they know 1 or 2 guys from their same area or whatnot, but you come in and it's awesome to see how fast those relationships form. And some of them, it's just organically. When you're living in the same dorm, you're eating 3 meals a day with them, you're doing everything with them from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you can't help but get close. And then some of the intentional stuff that we do, as well too, whether it's, breaking the team up into families, have the big brother and the little brother pairings, having some of those intentional relationships that have nothing to do with football, but are just focused on, hey, can I help you in this process, get you acclimated, to our team, the fun team bonding activities, the get to know you team bonding type stuff that we do, the questions that we ask, the conversations that we try to have, like obviously fosters that. But then anytime I think that you get, a group of men that are all going after the same mission, like you can't help but be unified in that because, all those differences, and we've got a lot of different guys, a lot of different personalities, but the differences really don't matter when everybody is pointed towards that mission to be able to help us develop as a champion and be a championship level team. And when we're all on that mission together, it is incredible to see how quickly those bonds form. And so again, that's a ton of fun to be able to kind of see that begin during fall camp and obviously carry into the season. And then on the football side of things too, reinstalling the offense, the defense, the special teams, how we do things, how we practice, all of the little details. I know that gets me excited, to be able to just go back to square one and rebuild this thing all over again. Because in some ways, yes, we're continuing to build off of what we did last year a little bit, and we've got a little bit of momentum there. And there's guys coming back from last year's team that played some big roles, that are some great dudes, that are great culture and team builders. But at the same time too, it is a brand new team. It's the 2025 Ravens. There will never be a team like this team, and each one is different. We've got to build it from the ground up, and so to be able to just pour everything into building this team into what hopefully it can be is definitely a really exciting thing.
Yeah, that's the exciting part because guys are coming back in new positions. Junior, senior, sophomores will be juniors now. Juniors will be seniors, and like you said, the team is not the same from the previous year. So new opportunities come up for those guys who are expecting to step into a bigger role. Guys, again, I put in a lot of work in the spring ball. I put in a lot of work in the summer. I'm excited to go compete for a starting job in the fall. And also, I'm excited to teach these freshmen how we do things. I'm excited to be that upperclassman that I never had as a freshman being a part of this team. So there's a lot that goes into it. But like you said, overall, I'm just excited to kind of figure out who we're about to be, what type of team we're about to be in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's give a little peek behind the curtain at, kind of some of the returning guys, to start with. We've got, on the offensive side of the ball, we graduated, some guys that had some great production. Julian, who was a, 3-time all-conference receiver for us, is in the record book, did a really good job, in a lot of ways over the years. That's a lot of production, obviously, that's going to get replaced by, some other guys. We've got some skill players, last year with some kind of that had some experience. They got some play time. They got in the end zone a few times, as well too. Preston, receiver who got in the end zone a couple times at the end of the season. Dietrich, our tight end, who was in the end zone a couple times. Carson at quarterback, who was in the end zone both through the air and on the ground as well too throughout the season. So some guys that do have some experience, while maybe they haven't been the featured guy from last year. They've still got some really good Saturday college game day experience. And a few others as well too. But tell us a little bit about kind of the offense and some of your expectations for them.
Well, yeah, I know, like you said, definitely with those guys coming back, really excited to get back on with them. Seeing some of those guys over the summer, again, talk about guys putting in work and looking good and excited. But the offense is going to be dynamic. That's my expectation is dynamic. We have a lot of experience coming back, a lot of early experience. Carson, he played as a freshman against one of the top teams in the conference. It was his first play against Mount St. Joe. So, I'm excited to see what he kind of develops into, with us graduating our senior quarterback last year. Definitely see, we're going to step into that role. Same thing with Preston. Preston, he got a first start, I think week 2, his freshman year. So, that was, I remember that day telling him, he was shaking in his boots. He thought I was joking, but, we had a senior, kind of lost his starting spot, and Preston was the next guy up. And I know Preston's hungry. He ended the season well against Manchester. He was involved in every touchdown. And if I'm not mistaken, we had 400 yards of offense that day. So I know he's hungry and he's excited to get back to it. And then the same thing with Dietrich. Dietrich, he was very active for us last season at the beginning of the year, and then he kind of got banged up halfway through, and then he returned a little bit on the back end of the year. But I know he's hungry, especially with it being senior year. I know he wants to empty the tank and leave his place better than he found it. So I'm excited to kind of get going with the guys, and then kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Dietrich's one of those guys that I think he epitomizes. We talk a lot about toughness in the program. I think he's a great picture of that. Last year was a tougher year for him just with battling a couple of different injuries, that lingered throughout the season, but that was not going to keep him off the field. And while it may have slowed him down a little bit, he was still able to do some really good things, be a great teammate, be there for guys, and help move this thing forward. But really, no matter what the position is, I think one of the things I'm excited about in camp is we've got multiple returning players at every position that are going to be battling it out, as well as the incoming group of guys that are going to be in the mix for those competitions. And there's going to be some great competitions, at every position, on the offensive side of the ball, throughout fall camp here. And excited to see as that brings the best out of everybody, what ends up, getting moved forward. On the defensive side of the ball, we've got, some all-conference players, returning from last year. Jake Simpson, who led our conference in tackles, was a captain for us last year. Gavin Renners, who's a second-team all-conference linebacker as well, too. Zaire Prelu, who was an honorable mention defensive back in the conference and one of our captains last year as well. All three of those guys had a lot of production on the defensive side of the ball, whether it was helping get the ball, get us takeaways, get the ball back in the hands of the offense. Zaire even scoring one, on an 85-yard touchdown. Jake and Gavin just being, just the rock of that defense in the middle, just being so solid and consistent week after week after week. Some other returning players at various positions as well too. Those guys, they'll bring a lot of experience back to the defense.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see what those guys look like this year. Coming out in the 2025 year, we talked about Jake and Gavin being a rock in the middle of the box. Those guys had an awesome spring in the weight room and on the field, just from preparing their bodies, making the proper adjustments that they need to, whether it's recovery or gaining or maintaining some weight. So I'm excited to see what those guys do. They're hungry.
Yep.
I honestly think we got the best linebacker group in the conference. And I'm excited to see them kind of lead and help mold our incoming guys. That's going to be behind them. So, and the same thing with Zaire. Zaire again, the senior on the team, who's projected to have a pretty big year for us. And again, just the leadership, the wisdom that he has to pour into these guys that's coming in behind him. I'm excited to see what these guys do with those opportunities.
Absolutely, it'll be very competitive in camp, and that's one of the better things about camp. It's while yes, we're starting to prepare for our opponents, especially early in the season. A lot of it is just getting as good as we can at our stuff as well too. There's a lot of competition within that, and to see the offense and the defense go against each other and spur that competition on in a great way that brings the best out of each side. Is really good. Third phase of the game, in the kicking game, we've got specialist Corey Layton coming back, who handled our field goal PAT as well as some kickoffs. Last year Eli DeRuza, who was a snapper last year for us, also played some tight end on the offensive side of the ball. Then really a lot of guys that played in some really big special teams roles on all phases, whether it was running down on kickoff, being on the punt team, being on the kickoff or punt return team. Guys contributing in those ways. I know that's something that we're putting a premium on, especially of being involved and impacting the game, in those ways. What are you excited to see about kind of the special teams units this year?
I'm excited just to see how many, what guys are going to make that cut, make that list. We always push the message to guys. That's the fastest way to get on the bus. But I think now it's starting to click for guys. Playing special teams early as a freshman or a guy who's on a limited role, that's the fastest way to earn coach's trust. And you show that you can earn coach's trust by doing this one job, taking this many steps, and then going downfield or working whatever technique is required. Okay, this guy busted his butt, doing a good job. He's maintaining his lane, his leverage. All right, let's see what he handles at his primary position. Let's see if I could put him in while one of the starters need to back up. And if he handles that, and then he has another good week of practice, that's typically how it goes from there. So I'm excited to see who kind of buys into that and really take advantage of those opportunities, because you never know what plays are going to impact the game, and you could be that guy who can impact the game on a limited role. So take advantage of every rep and get after it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about earning trust. That's huge. I mean, that's for anything, right? Offense, defense, special teams. You got to be trusted by your teammates, by your coaches, that you're going to go out and you're going to do your job and execute the best of your ability. And then it just continues to grow and grow. And grow from there. I think with special teams it's cool. We've got guys that are starters on offense, defense that are eager to hop in. On these units, we've got guys that maybe are in that role. Maybe they're in a rotation or they're a backup at their position. But they're the special teams warriors, and the guys that are just they're really good at doing this one thing, and that's the first part of their role that they get on the team. That it continues to grow. I think those are great opportunities to see everybody kind of come together. As a full team, as one, to be able to execute the assignment that they're given on that team. So looking into, obviously the schedule, we get through camp, we've got, a lot of opportunities to compete, to develop, to grow, to get us ready for, ultimately that countdown clock, over there on the wall showing the home opener, right? 31 days away as we're, recording this here today. By the time it goes out, even less. But, there's been a lot of excitement of that countdown, to playing, that home game against Alfred State. And, we traveled to their place, they're from New York. It was last year, that was really the first long road trip since we've been, coaches here at AU, taking a long trip with our guys. Great, a lot of great things happen on those long trips. There's a lot of team bonding that happens, just being able to focus on, the job that we're trying to do, and go play in a different area that maybe some guys have never been before. That was a good experience. Then it was a close game last year, and it was a defensive battle, low-scoring game. Came down all the way to the fourth quarter. We're excited to be able to get back after them, this year and try to flip that, of kind of what that outcome was. But as we work to build, to that week one game, and Alfred State gets to now come visit us. We're not on the bus for 8 hours. They're on the bus for 8 hours. Coming this way. Looking forward to what that week one matchup holds. And this was kind of a 2-year deal. We play them twice, and that's it from there. And so maybe the last time we get to face these guys, unless it happens again, in the future. Always fun to play kind of a non-conference team that you've never gotten to see before.
Yeah, no, it's a nice friendly. I think that's what the term they use in soccer, a nice friendly match. But no, it was fun traveling out to New York. I know myself, I've never been that far east. Furthest I've been was Pennsylvania. But even going there on a business trip, like you said, just the scenery, travel down, really enjoyed it. And I enjoy overnight games. It really gives that true, road game, college football vibe. So, but for us to be playing at home against these guys and running it back, I know I'm excited. Our guys are looking forward to it. And like you said, it was a close game. It was competitive. So, we're kind of expecting the same thing this year on both ends. So, really excited to get after it, and who knows what this can lead to. But you know, I think it is cool, you know, that our guys do have this opportunity to play against guys on that side of the states, because you know, growing up in the Midwest, you know, you may travel to different camps. You'll see guys from Michigan, guys from Ohio, guys from Indiana. Y'all might end up being teammates, but you know, we're going against guys in New York, and you look at their roster, most of their guys are New York guys, or you know, Pennsylvania, or whatever. So, you know, they play football a little bit different over there too, and I think it's good when you can line up against guys from all across the world. You know, I'm a guy who played JUCO, so I've had a lot of different teammates from all over, and I literally different countries, different states. So you know, I enjoy that and getting to know people along that way. But you know, like I said, really looking forward to lining up against these guys at home.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, they've done a great job with their program over the past couple of years, being able to go to the playoffs the past couple of years, winning their conference. You know, really strong, high quality team. You know, really great test for us. You know, obviously as we open up the season, you know, it'll also be Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day. You know, so we hope you know, faculty and staff you know, from the university you know, come out to support. We get to honor you guys in that. Just so appreciative of all the work that they do. You know, to help in the student athlete experience. You know, obviously, you know, helping our guys get their degree, getting to study the things that they want to do to prepare them, you know, for the future, for that job that they're, you know, excited to get. And so we're excited to honor them that day, as well as just have anybody and everybody come out to support, because, man, you know, week one of college football, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. So. So then we get to turn around and, you know, thought we were going to be at home actually, you know, 2 weeks in a row over the summer, kind of change of plans, and, you know, we're actually going to hit the road, you know, week 2, and we are heading out back to New York, and we're going to play SUNY, State University of New York, Maritime, right out there on the water near New York City. You know, if you take a look at their field, it's pretty cool. It's literally on the water. You know, there's no away bleachers behind the away stands. You just got the harbor back there behind you. Some cool facilities. They had a really good season. You know, last year in the sense of, you know, just, you know, they had some good quality wins. You know, I think a team that, as we looked at them, I think fairly comparable to, you know, an Alfred State, you know, as far as, you know, what their roster looks like. I know they had a lot of seniors that they graduated with, a lot of production, similar to maybe what we had on the offensive side of the ball as well, too. You know, a team that we've literally never seen before. They've got a brand new head coach this summer as well, too. I think that'll be a great battle. Test us as we then now get to go back out on the road, and, you know, as we just continue to build through the non-conference portion of our season.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool that, you know, we get to go back to New York. It's a different part of New York though this time.
It is.
You know, Alfred, they're in upstate, so you know, definitely a lot more greenery up there. You know, and then we're kind of closer to the city here, like you said, we're kind of right off the harbor. I think it's pretty cool, but if I'm not mistaken, Alfred didn't have any away bleachers either, so
nope.
You know, it's going to be a lot of mingling and congregating with the fans, so that's always fun. But really looking forward to playing these guys. You know, like you said, you know, they're graduating a lot, but you know, they play some good football out there. A little bit of everything, so we're excited to kind of see how we line up and measure against those guys, and then back on the road again. So it's going to be a nice little gauntlet just traveling.
For sure.
Looking forward.
I know one of the things I'm excited about with that travel is something that surprised me in a good way last year. You know, when we went out to New York, when we went to Iowa, we went to these away games. The number of families and fans that came with us was phenomenal. And so, you know, obviously I know a lot of our guys' families, you know, want to support their kids, support the team. It was just so cool to see, hey, even though we're 4 states away, we still got a good caravan of Raven fans, you know, coming with us. Excited to see them, you know, in the stands, you know, packing that place out, you know, cheering us on the road week 2. Come home after that long bus ride with the win, you know, and you know, obviously those bus rides, they're a little bit more fun, you know, when it's celebratory, you know, but at the same time, you come home from that, and it's a quick turnaround to get to that next week, and we've got to be able to, you know, refocus and get right back into our week 3 game, which is our crossover game with the MIAA. Each year over the past several years, you know, we've played the team from the Division III conference up in Michigan, get paired up with a different one. This year we get Kalamazoo College. We get to go up. It's going to be a night game in Kalamazoo. You know, it's going to be an exciting, you know, matchup there. You know, the past couple of years we've played, you know, 2 different teams, you know, from, you know, that conference, you know, as well. That conference has had a lot of great success. I'm looking forward to getting to play Kalamazoo. For you, you can go back to your home state, which is always a little bit of fun. Different side of the state, but you know, it's always great. You know, we lived in Michigan for 8 years as well too. You know, when you live in a place that long, you know, you can't help but get used to it, and you know, kind of that's a little part of home for you. So looking forward to going back up, you know, to the Kalamazoo area, and get to play a night game under the lights.
Yeah, no, that is going to be exciting. I talk about bird game, like to travel. So I know my family, they're already letting me know, they're going to travel the 2 hours over to kind of come see us and come hang out. So I'm excited, because they keep up over the internet, checking things on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. So, and then this will be their first time seeing us in action. So always nice to go back to the home state and see some family.
And I know we've got a few guys on the roster, from Michigan as well too. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of family out, as well. And so, then after those 3 games, we get a little bit of a bye week there, and then we hop into our conference, schedule at that point. First conference game, to start out October. That's going to be, we're heading to Cincinnati to play Mount St. Joe, the defending conference champions. They've made it known, obviously, by their play that they're the team to beat in the conference, and we're excited to be able to get back out at their place. Obviously, been a couple of years since we traveled to Cincinnati, where I grew up, and kind of my home state. There at that point, that's going to be our to start out October as well too. Breast cancer awareness, game to wear pink, be able to kind of support that cause and to be able to continue to raise awareness along with a lot of other college football, NFL teams, high school teams, that do the same. Just kind of stand together and show support for those that have been through that struggle.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like you said, come off a bye week, so that gives us enough time to kind of prepare physically and mentally for the conference games. And for us to open up against the conference champs. After coming out off of our non-conference games, I think this is going to be a good way to open it up and get after it that way. Conference is what's important. Non-conference should get you ready for conference, and these are the ones that you got to get. So really looking forward to getting the conference play going, but decided to take it one game at a time.
Absolutely, without a doubt. It'll be a good, and I think the great thing about our conference, there's a lot of good football teams in our conference, week in and week out. It's going to be a game. We've got to come in with a great plan. We've got to execute that really well, be healthy, prepare our guys as best as we can, and anything could happen on any Saturday. And so excited to take on Mount St. Joe. Then we get to come back to home game, homecoming, that very next week, which is going to be, we're taking on Bluffton. They come to town for the homecoming game. Alumni Day, everybody, hopefully come on out, come to the street fair that morning, head on over to the game that afternoon. Really looking forward to, taking on Bluffton for that homecoming game, showing out in front of the home crowd. And generally, with it being homecoming, tends to be one of the biggest crowds. Obviously, we've got the family, we've got the friends, we've got the students, we've got the faculty, and all those, but then, those extra alums that come from all over the country to come back to AU for homecoming definitely makes it, I think, that much more special.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorite parts of homecoming is just the atmosphere. You kind of look back in the crowd and kind of wish every home game was like that. But we're really excited to line up against Bluffton.
Yeah, definitely got that one started and circled, ready to go for that one. So then we get to travel back on the road. We head down to Southern Indiana to Hanover, that next week. And Hanover has been really strong in the conference the past couple of years as well too. They've done a great job with their program. They've got some guys coming back similar to us. They've got some really big playmakers that have graduated as well too. And really, I think that's the case for a lot of the teams in our conference. And so there's going to be a little bit of a reset as far as seeing the scouting and the talent level and all that, but we know Hanover is going to be a very strong team. Excited to go down and take them on again, at their place, and get ready to go to kind of right in the midpoint, at this point of our conference season.
Yeah, that's the midway point, and like I said, naming the game is staying healthy. So make sure we're taking care of our bodies throughout the season, so we can last all the way through.
For sure. Now, at this point, our schedule gets a little bit different because normally this late in the year, at the end of October, you're still rolling through the conference season. We actually take a pause on the conference schedule, and we get to host Wilmington College, who's a non-conference team from the OAC, the Ohio Athletic Conference. That's a really, really strong historical football conference. Wilmington's coming to us, kind of similar to the deal with the MIAA. Our conference now has a deal with the OAC to where we kind of pair up, each year and face a different team from that conference. This year we get Wilmington College. They're going to come play us, here at the end of October. This is going to be, we're kind of, calling this game to compete for the cause. Where, we obviously earlier in the season got to, do the breast cancer awareness game. Kind of really extrapolate that, and what we're challenging our guys to, this year, similar to what they do, maybe in the NFL is, what's a cause, that is important to them, and that's what's on their hearts. Is it, they have something that's, been in their family family, something that really, kind of pulls and tugs on their heart that they want to make a difference in the world? Is there a cause that they want to compete for, bring awareness to, help to start giving their time, their energy, their resources back to help make the world a better place? Excited to compete for the cause. I'm excited to see, what our guys are passionate about, whether that's, I know we've got a lot of guys that, volunteer and help with youth programs, in the area, guys that, obviously have been, their families have been, afflicted with, different, whether it's cancer or another type of, life-altering, disease, to bring awareness for that. So many different causes that you can, be supportive of. Excited to be able to, that game really just, compete, obviously, against Wilmington for the various causes that our guys, bring that are on their hearts.
Yeah, no, and those type of moments definitely show a lot. Definitely shows, what a little bit more than the football player. And putting in the power to sit down and think and actually think of a cause. Don't just see it as, I get to just represent it, but like you said, most of the things that you're representing is near and dear to the heart. So I'm excited to just kind of see what guys are passionate about outside of football, and from there, see if there's any connections, or see if there's any ways that, I could relate. There's a handful of guys on our team who's affected by breast cancer, families are affected by breast cancer, but what else are you guys affected to? And again, just more opportunities to develop relationships and learn a little bit more about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk a lot about in the program loving one another. The relationships are, the center of life really at that point, and we've got to work to not only do that within the confines of our team, but also just loving others outside of our team and the greater community, and a way to do that, and to help really show our guys that you don't have to wait to really kind of take part in some of these causes. It's you don't gotta wait till you're a millionaire. You don't gotta wait until you're done with college so you have a certain job or a certain status. Like, where are you right now, and what can you do to help people outside of you? And I think a lot of times, when you can combine the things that you're passionate about with the things that the world needs or other people need, I think a lot of times that's an area that God's calling you or any of us to be able to make an impact in people's lives. And so excited to see just how God continues to use our guys in their specific circles and then their passions to have a positive impact on the world. So. Then we get to come back in November. We get to have back-to-back home games there. November 1st is going to be our senior day game, last home game. Franklin comes to town for that game. We've had a couple really, really good battles with Franklin over the past couple of years. Been really tight games that have gone down all the way to the wire. This is going to be in addition to being able to honor our seniors. We've got a class of 8 seniors this year, guys that have really poured a lot into this program, and we're excited to send them off with their final home game. To have a great experience with that. Also going to be our salute to service game. The month of November. The military appreciation. We're excited to honor those that have served. Our country and our communities that have protected us. Looking forward to being able to honor both the seniors, and the military veterans in that day.
That's an exciting and sad day. Senior day, last day, last moment. But overall, I think that the atmosphere is going to be good, especially with us doing the military service salute thing. I think that's going to be a good environment. We got a handful of guys whose dads are vets, and just coming out and just showing love and supporting them goes a long way. And I don't know of any other colleges that are kind of doing these type of things, so it's definitely exciting to see how it's going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to obviously a great season. With the senior class, obviously highlighting them, especially in their last home game here at AU. But that's not the end of the season, right? We've got 2 more games, conference games, both on the road. We then travel on November 8th to Rose-Hulman, out in Terre Haute, Indiana, for another really good conference matchup. They've been perennially a team that's been at the top half of the conference. They've again, like some of the other teams we've described, they've got some guys coming back. They've got a lot of guys that they graduated that were big playmakers for them. Our guys are, I know, definitely excited to be able to take that on. That was another close game, this past year. That I think guys, are very excited to be able to get that matchup back again.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. That's another team that we play well outside of Franklin, you just mentioned. So definitely looking forward to lining back up against those guys, going back to their place. they got that cannon, so.
Yep. You gotta be prepared for that cannon to get shot off.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal. I think they shot it off at the beginning of the game. That's the one that really surprised me. I think they darn near put Coach Williams, in a heart attack when that thing went off next to him as he walked out of the tunnel there. But I think they do it when they score as well too. So here's to having no cannons going off, during that game. As our defense steps up and has a great, defensive game that Saturday. So then we get to round out the 2025 regular season, with our rivalry game. You already said the name, though. I think we'll probably have to bleep that one out. But competing for the Bronze Bowl game for the Bronze Ball Trophy. We won it. Brought it back home. The last regular season game last year. Was a great way to cap off our season. And any rivalry in college football, especially ones that have a trophy that goes back and forth. And no matter what happens throughout the course of the season with both teams, that's a competitive game. We see that even last year with the Michigan and Ohio State game, right? You got Ohio State that goes on to win the national championship, Michigan that's having a tough year, but when that rivalry game comes around, man, it doesn't matter what's happened during the year. Like, it is all out that game. Same could be said, I think, about this game. I know guys on both rosters, get really up for this game. It's very exciting. We're looking forward to defending, that trophy and, being able to, bring it back home with us again.
Heck yeah, no, it's definitely different atmosphere on rivalry week. So we're excited. Keep that ball here.
Absolutely. And fun just to be, I think, a part of the greater landscape of college football that, mid-November, late November, it's rivalry week across the country, so it's not something that's just for us. It's like we get to take part of something bigger that's nationwide, which makes it a lot of fun. And so, that's our 2025 season. It's something that, we've been waiting a long time for this year, but I know it's something that's going to feel like, we went through that in a blink of an eye. And so, definitely looking forward to treasuring every moment that we've got with this team, because like I said at the beginning, this 2025 team, there's no team that's going to be like this team, and it's unique. Just being able to enjoy it with these guys, to be able to have a great season of pouring into these guys, helping them to become the best football players they can be, getting our team to be the best team that we can be, the best version of us week in and week out as we continue to build through the year, but really just enjoying the relationships and pouring into these guys, not only in the football field, but in their academic life, in their personal life, their social life, their spiritual life, helping them grow in so many other ways. I'm assuming those are going to be some of the memories, even more than anything, that we're going to look back on and be like, man, this was a great year, this was a special year. So I'm excited to attack this year with you, with the rest of our coaching staff, the rest of our team, and send us off into a great season.
Same, brother. We're looking forward to it. We're getting to work sooner than we know.
Absolutely. Well, tune in for our next episode as we take a look at our incoming class. We're excited to introduce those to you guys and excited to have you join us for a great season. We hope that you come out to one of our home games this fall.